For this lesson, you are going to be creating your own graphic to use for your project. So make sure you've reviewed the Your Turn information so that you understand exactly what the directions and requirements are for this lesson. Okay, let's go ahead. I have one pulled up here, and I have an image or a collection of items that I put together to create my own unique graphic for this project. So I've decided it's going to be a research project, so I've typed in the information here. I've also decided I'm going to break it up into days, so I've got that information in my head. These can always change, of course, as you move through and continue working on this project for this module. So let's look at this. So this information is easy to do. So let's look at how this was created, and then I'll walk you through how you can create your own. So this first part is a text box up here, and as you can tell at the top here, you can do a background color. You have a choice of font. The More menu will give you more options for working with the text that's in that box. The second item here is actually word art. So I typed it in word art. I actually layered it on top of a shape. I chose a rectangle behind it to give it that gray background. This was just an image that I inserted by searching the web. I just did a search for that. And then this is kind of a fun thing. This is another image I brought in, but then I cropped it to a shape. And I'm going to show you that, changing that right here. So I had selected the crop, and then I chose shapes, and I'll just choose another one here, a heart. And then I can resize it. I can move it around. I can, as you can see, I can also rotate it. So that's kind of fun. So let me go back. I'm going to now just make some room here and walk you through some of these tools. Again, from the requirement, you have to do at least 3 of the different tools in your option. Oh, this border around it, let me show you that real quick, is just by selecting this item here and selecting a width that I want the line, the border to be, and then also the border style. You can have it. So that's an easy way to do the border if you like that. If you like it that way. It does restrict right up to all the images there. So if I wanted a little white space outside of that, I would actually do that inside the drawing feature. Okay, let's insert a new drawing. And I'm just going to quickly show you some of the tools that I used in the other one. But feel free to explore all of these. So if you want to start with a text box, you just click and drag, type in your text, and then using the More menu, you can decide how that text looks. You can change the color, you can change it, you have to select it, etc. All right, so that's easy to do. The word art is also something you're probably familiar with. Doesn't work quite as nicely as word art in other programs, but it does work. The default is always this light blue, but you can change the color. You can change the outline of the word art to match. You can change the font. Now it becomes actually a graphic. So there isn't, I can bold and italicize, but if I want to change the shape of it, I just grab from the corner and change the size and shape of it that way. So it works after I've got it in there. It works a little bit more like an image than just a true text box does, okay? So I don't have all of these other options that I do with a text box. All right, then if you want to grab an image to add to this, this is the image icon. You can do any of these. I'm just going to search on the web, and I'm going to grab, I'm going to show you that, I'm going to grab this image here, that cropping again. just because it's fun. I think it's fun. If this comes in much too large, you always grab from the corners to keep images proportional. Um, if I grab from one side, it becomes non-proportional, and that really drives me crazy. So if I see that, I will almost always comment on it and hope that you will fix something like that. Now, just regular cropping allows me to take away some of the item in the image that I may not want. Maybe I don't want all that white space there. If I click here again, it cuts off that part that I didn't want. If I click twice, then I can see what I took away if I decide I don't want that. And I can just grab that side and move it back, and then it's back to the original shape. Now let's look at the cropping to a shape. Okay, so if I wanted to do, here's the heart. Some of the shapes will work better than others, so it won't always work. Okay, but that one is kind of fun. So I think that's kind of fun. All right, so I've done text, I've done word art, so and I've done an image, so that's technically 3. Let me go ahead and create my own border or background for this. Drag this rectangle. Now, because it was the last thing I put, it put it on top. So I want to change the order. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to order and send it to the back. But before I even do that, I really want to change some of these features. I might want a very light gray background. I might want to do something similar with the border. Now, if I send it to the back, then I have this light gray background for my image there, my graphics there. So I'm going to save and close. And it probably went on the next page. Yeah. Okay. And this now becomes one graphic. So if it's bigger than I want it, then I simply grab from any of the corners and change the size, again, keeping it proportional. If I want it centered on my page, I use my centering tools. So that's what you need to do for that part of the lesson. The other part that I talked about already was you had a chance to look at some examples, decide what your project's going to be. This is an example of research report. You're also going to decide how you're going to organize it. In this case, I said day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. You can do it any way you want. This is your project, something I hope you create that will be useful for you with your students or your staff if you're doing one that is an adult-based project. So take care, and if you have any questions, as always, reach out and let me know.